Welcome to the Iyun Podcast, an in-depth look at Chareidi society, Israel, and the Jewish people. I am your host, Ari Koretsky, and I invite you to join us as we confront the challenges, joys, and possibilities of Torah-centered living in an evolving world. The Iyun Podcast. Think again. Welcome back to another episode of the Iyun Podcast. Last couple of episodes, we've been discussing some of the challenges, formidable to be sure, of Chareidi participation in the IDF. The next couple of episodes, we'd like to address some of the solutions that currently exist, the frameworks that already are available to those members of the society that would like to enlist, that would like to participate in this particular way, that feel drawn, that feel compelled, that feel responsible, whether they feel pushed as a result of dissatisfaction in their current lives or pulled by a higher calling, by a sense of mission and responsibility and obligation. This episode will discuss well-known and somewhat eponymous unit known as Nachal Chareidi, often conflated with Netzach Yehuda, which is an organization working in tandem. The two are not identical, but they're inextricably linked. And actually, we'll be speaking with Netzach Yehuda CEO Rabbi Yosi Levi. Fascinating personal life story and a unique, clarifying window into this specific framework of the IDF. Those listening in real time will know that this unit was recently the subject of some fairly public controversy, nearly sanctioned by the United States government for actions that occurred well before the current war, I believe in 2022. Unfortunately, we did not have a chance to speak with Yossi about this because we recorded before those allegations emerged. But nonetheless, thankfully, the government of the United States opted not to offer a sanction, which would have been an unprecedented and really almost unimaginable decision with respect to a foreign military force. In any event, I'm excited to present our conversation with Netzach Yehuda CEO Yossi Levi. We are here with Rabbi Yosi Levy.
Hi.
The founder and director, I suppose, of Netzach Yehuda, Nachal Chareidi, multiple names, which we'll dissect shortly. But first of all, how are you, Rabbi Yossi?
First, I must say that the real founders, it's rabbis from the mainstream of the Haredi community. They are the founders of Nachal Chareidi, and that's what makes revolution.
Okay, beautiful. We're going to get into the whole story, but First of all, tell us a little bit about where you're from. What was your upbringing? What was your story?
So I grew up in Jerusalem in Haredi community.
Which neighborhood?
I grew up in Givat Shaul, but I learned in Geula.
Wow.
In a cheder that's called Amsora.
In Hebrew, we call this hardcore.
Yeah. I feel that it's the standard, so I don't think it's a hardcore for
Everything's
me.
relative, as we say in America.
And after that, I went to yeshiva of Rabbi Ackerman in Beitar Elite. After that, I went to Yeshivat Mir for 1 year, and then I felt that I'm not learning Torah all the day, and it's not. I tried. I think I'm saying all the times to the religious people in the Israeli society that it's very hard to be Bachur Yeshiva, to learn Torah all the day. It's very hard, and it was too hard for me. And then I decided to do something different. I tried to understand what can be different. So I tried another yeshiva, but I understood that it's not for me. And then I decided to go to the IDF, to Nachal Chareidi, Netzach Yehuda. I did all the track. It's 1 year of training before you can be a fighter. And then after 1 year, I went to a commander's course and then to officer's course. I was officer in Netzach Yehuda battalion. After that, there is a officer that manages all of the operations of the battalion. It's called the K'tzin Agam. I was the K'tzin Agam of Netzach Yehuda, and then I finished my army service.
Okay, beautiful. So we're gonna rewind a little bit and try to unpack some of these different aspects of your life. First of all, when you talk about the Chareidi home that you grew up in, it sounds like a very mainstream Chareidi home.
Right, mainstream.
Not something on the fringes, not with parents, from different backgrounds. Much mainstream. So where was your family from? Was it multiple generations in Yerushalayim?
So when you, not you, because you know the Haredi community, when people think about the Haredi community, they think that the Hasidim is the most of the people in the society, but it's not true. Most of the mainstream of the Haredi society is the Litaim and Sfaradim Bnei Torah. I grew up in a family that my brothers learned in Ponovitch and Koltere, and I was, as I said, in Mir, and in the best yeshivot of the Charedim mainstream. In Givat Shaul, I was born in Givat Shaul. My family came from Haifa and other cities, but at the end of the day, I was born in Givat Shaul, in Haredi neighborhood, and all of my family is the same. My sisters got married with people from Hebron and Grodne. That's the family, standard family, Haredi family.
Wow. So as you were going through the system, and at some point you started to realize full-time learning was not really the best option for you.
Yep.
At some point, was that a crisis for you in terms of, because if that's the only option that's presented in the community, for many people, they don't say, oh, well, let me do something else while staying very religious. They might say, well, let me exit the community. And you have a whole, group of people that, I don't know how the percentages are, how large, but there's a not insignificant percentage of people who may feel that the opportunities for them are too narrow, are too monolithic, and therefore they exit the community entirely. But that wasn't your story. Why not?
Right. So as you said, there is a lot of Haredi youth that they feel like me, that they cannot learn Torah all the day. And the program is that you have only one option. So if you want to go to the IDF, you have to cross the fence. And it's not true. I want to be a Haredi and I want to serve. And when I was in that position that I thought, what's next? I didn't get any answer except to go to another yeshiva. And when I decided to go to the IDF, it was a decision against everything. And it was very hard for me. So today I'm trying to make it as a solution to a problem that there is a lot of Haredi youth, more than, I think, thousands every year, that they think different. They don't want to learn. They cannot learn Torah all the day. And to put them in a frame that they cannot do something else, it's too much. It's crazy. And sometimes it makes them with a lot of problems all over the life. I can see it with my friend that didn't serve in the IDF. So we given today the option to go only to Nachal, I can call it a Netzach Yehuda trucks in the IDF. It's the trucks that gives the environment of Haredi society inside the IDF, and that's make them the option to serve and to still keep the values of the Haredi society.
Absolutely. But what I want to understand about you was that this option didn't exist for other people then. And yet you didn't feel that you needed to leave the community altogether.
Yeah.
You wanted to stay a part of it?
Of course.
Not of course, because many people, they feel they don't connect in yeshiva. They feel, I must leave. Why didn't you feel that way?
So I really think that sometimes we take in some stories and we are taking them as like this is all of the people that's left the Haredi society. It's not true. Most of the people that comes to Netzach Yehuda, like me, we want to still keep the values of the Haredi society. We don't want to leave anything. Maybe sometimes we are in thinking and I don't know. But at the end of the day, like me, I wanted to be connected to my family, connected to my community. And I wanted to serve. And I didn't get the option. There is no option except to be in yeshiva.
Right.
It's only yeshiva or another yeshiva.
Did you feel like a failure at the time? Did you feel like your self-esteem was damaged?
In some, I'm not a guy that's, I'm still in the positive perspective, let's call it. But so all the time I'm thinking that I'm doing for me the right way. But of course I felt that for the Haredi society, I'm behind the fence and I didn't want to be there.
So at the time that you made this decision, what was available for a Haredi person with respect to the IDF, to joining the army? What was possible? And how did you even get in your mind, this is what I'm going to do? Like, you could have just been on the street. You could go get a job. You could go travel the world. Why the IDF?
So at the beginning, I really thought that I will never draft to the IDF because it wasn't one of the options even. So at the beginning, I tried to find another yeshiva. I was in French in yeshiva and in yeshiva in Arnof. That's called Derech Hashem. And after that, I said, I need to do something that will challenge myself. And I don't want to be in the street. And I said it to myself a couple of times. And I saw friends of mine that they was in the same position. They wasn't the guys that needs to be in the street. And because of the system, they went to the street. This is the reality. For that guys, it was a bad option. but they went to the street because if not yeshiva, so what? And then in one night, someone called me, and he said to me, my name is Tzuriel, and he said, I want to speak with you about to draft to the IDF. I said, it's a joke, and I said, I don't want it, and we finished the call. But after 3 times, I think that he called me, he said, let's just meet. And I said, why not? And then in one night, I think it was 1 a.m. in the night, so he said to me, come to my car. It was a old Mazda. and I sat there, and he said to me, there is a truck in the IDF that's called Nachal Chareidi and Netzach Yehuda. You can be Charedi and you can serve. I said, no way. And he said, no, you have the option to serve in a place that can give you the environment and rabbis that comes and give lessons and all of the environment for Charedi. And I said, I will come, but only if I can come with my friends. I thought that I'm coming to a camp. He said to me, no, it's army. You can come with your friends. It's going to help me, but we have to check that your friends can be fighters like you. I said, okay, let's try. I spoke with my 2 friends of mine, Yair and Yoel, and we organized it together, and we went together to Netzach Yehuda.
Now, Netzach Yehuda existed already at the time?
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
So first, if we're going to look at the history of Charedim in the IDF, at the beginning of Israel in 1948, the Charedim served in the IDF. Ben Gurion, he is the prime minister that said that he will give the Charedim the option to not serve in the IDF. Right. He brought the I don't know how to call it, but the option to be under Torato Umanuto.
Right.
He did it.
It became called the status quo.
Yeah, the status.
And with the Chazon Ish.
Yeah, but the status of Torato Umanuto, Ben Gurion make it. And he said to the Charedim, I'll give you 400 options to be under that area. The Charedim, at the beginning of Israel, they used only 250 from that 400. Yeah, because all of the Charedim that was in Israel served in the IDF in the first war, and after that in Milchemet Sheshet Hayamim, and after that in Yom Kippurim war. Most of the Charedim served in the IDF, and they was real Charedim, and the mainstream supported it, and the rabbis, and by the way, a couple of Admorim. Admor Mivizhnitz, there is pictures from Yom Kippurim war that he sent all of the Hasidut to serve in the IDF. And right after Yom Kippurim war, it was a big break between the Haredi society to the IDF. I think it's about trust. I try to understand it, but in the past, it was very hard to bring a glad kosher food to the Charedim in the IDF, and it was terrible, and they said, we're going to stop serving the IDF right after Yom Kippurim war. And
so it's really so late into the founding of the state. After 1973 is when it changed.
Right.
But for the first 25 years of the state, this was not the challenge that we have today.
Right. It wasn't the challenge. And by the way, they added it from 400 to 800 people that's got the ptor. It's nothing. And in 77, the Charedim comes in the first time to the coalition of Israel.
Because now you have Menachem Begin, and now you have a right-wing government. Right. And this is the sort of this, again, status quo. This is the situation we have politically for the last 50 years almost, where you have a more or less a right-wing government with a couple of exceptions, relying on, with coalition politics, Chareidi parties, which are now growing stronger and stronger because of demographic growth. And so you have a whole new reality, and it seems like there have been now several generations that have become entrenched in this mindset that Charedim don't go to the IDF.
Right. But I must tell you that it's more after the Charedim came to the coalition for more than 25 years that didn't serve. No one. Yeah, maybe one of the Charedim in some of the units, but no one served in the IDF. They got the approval from the government to get all of the ptorim to all of the community. So
now this is until about 2000 or second intifada around this time.
So the first time that the Charedim came back to the IDF, it was in 1999. Then the rabbis from the Haredi society, Rabbi Bar Chaim and Rabbi David Fuchs, they came to the IDF. They said, let's open a new Nachal Chareidi. The IDF was shocked. They said, no way.
Who were these rabbis? Where were they? How mainstream were they?
So it's 2 rabbis from the mainstream. They learned in Hebron and in the best yeshivot, and they said, we have problem. They didn't thought about the problem of the security of Israel. That's the reality. They said, we have problem in the Haredi society. What's the problem? We have a lot of youth that they are not doing anything. And if they are not doing anything, they will go to the street. It will be worse than everything else. Let's open unit in the IDF. They will give them a education, maybe different education, but education. There will be a mensch. There will be a Noach Ish Tzadik, Ish before Tzadik. There will be Anashim. And then we will give a solution to the Haredi society. So it started with 30. We have today more than 3,000 Charedim in the IDF. That's in active service in the IDF, and more than 21,000 veterans.
So these rabbis that came, were they coming with the approval or with even the promotion from the Gedolim, so to speak, which is always the big question in Haredi society, because the concept of Das Torah, the concept of the Gedolim is a very, very powerful value in Haredi society, maybe the most paramount value that distinguishes it from other communities of religious or observant Jews. Were they coming with the approval of people like Rav Shach and those figures, or were these rabbis doing it on their own?
So the biggest rabbi the rabbis get his support, it was Rabbi Steinman. They came to Rabbi Steinman.
And this is at the very beginning?
Yeah, from the beginning. By the way, before. 1 year before they started, they spoke with a lot of rabbis. Some of them said, we support you, but we cannot say it. It's happened until today, by the way. 25 years after it, I'm listening to the rabbis. I believe in the rabbis' values.
One of the episodes I want to do on this podcast at some point is why this concept exists in the society, that rabbis will say something, but you can't quote me. You can't use my name.
No, they said something that you can understand it, because they said, if I will say that this is another option, a lot of people from the yeshivot will go to that option. Yeah. They saying to us, you're doing amazing job. We're still supporting you, but you have to see that you are not taking Bachurei Yeshivot to the IDF.
However, when people will come out and talk about the army, some of those same rabbis would get up and say very strong things against the army, right?
So that rabbis that I'm speaking with, that it's Gdolei Dor, they are not speaking against the army. No way. Even Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef that spoke something about Bachurei Yeshivot.
Yes, recently in the news.
Yeah,
now.
3 days ago. He didn't say that he is against the IDF. It's a joke to say it. 1 week ago, he went to a bases and he gave a lot of brachot to the soldiers. So it's not true. But he said we have to keep the Bachurei Yeshivot in the Yeshivot. So I believe that he can say that the Bachurei Yeshivot that's learning Torah still needs to be in the Yeshivot, but the others needs to go to the IDF. This is the complete sentence that we expected.
Right.
But he said only the half of that.
Right. So Rav Steinman was supportive from the beginning.
Yeah.
And they came, these two Rosh Yeshiva, they came with this plan. And how did the IDF react? They said, yes, we're all in? Or they said, wait a second.
Of course not.
Lo pashut.
At the beginning, they said no.
Because?
Yeah, the chief of staff said to the rabbis, no way.
Because?
I cannot fight the Charedim. The Charedim was in the coalition. He said, I don't want to fight them. I don't know if I need it. You have to remember that the Charedim 20 years ago was a small community. Today, with the demographic in Israel, the Charedim, they're going to be the biggest, yes, for sure. And for now, it's more than 1.3 million people.
Yeah, it's already 17%, I think, of the population.
Yeah, 17%.
But why do you have to fight the coalition? The rabbis were coming and saying, we're going to give you the students. Weren't they saying, we're giving it to you?
Which rabbi will say that? Even Rabbi Steinman, when he said it, he said...
No, but the original Rosh Yeshiva that came, didn't they...
They did it. Okay, so he said, I believe that you can bring the soldiers, but I don't want to fight. I don't want to bring a politician fight. If the government will decide, I'll do it. But if not, I don't want to be inside.
Because he felt if he accepts them, even if they want to come, others are going to come and attack him, and it's going to be too much of a headache for him.
You see now, it's not the army, even maybe it's not the army decision. It's army. The army needs to do what the politicians wants the army to do. So if the Minister of Defense, let's say, will say to the IDF, I want to open a Haredi unit, he needs to do it. But the army by himself, I don't think that, for now, today it's different because of the war. But even before the war, the army didn't do, he wasn't active with Giyus Haredim. He got the Haredim that came. He tried, but he got the Chareidim that came, and he organized it in some units.
Right. But early on, do you think that the army was also worried about accommodating the special needs of the Chareidi soldiers? Was that also a concern? In other words, they're going to ask for better kosher food. They're going to ask for, I don't know, maybe a mikveh, whatever, actual accommodations would be requested beyond what other religious soldiers were requesting. Was the army worried about that, or that was never an issue?
So the army and Minister of Defense, they tried to bring Chareidim. They're working hard, and they bring in, but not enough. And Netzach Yehuda NGO too. So this is, by the way, the three organizations that work together in the area of integration Chareidim in the IDF. Minister of Defense, the IDF himself, and Netzach Yehuda NGO. That's we're doing the all of the systems in the IDF. We're building it together with the IDF and MOD, like Netzach Yehuda, Givati, and Tzanchanim, and all of the other units in the intelligence units and in the Air Force. But I must say that the problems that we had in the past, like the problem of kosher food, glad kosher food, it's not the problem today. Today, to buy a glad kosher food, it's maybe cheaper sometimes than the regular food. So food is not a problem.
But when Nachal Chareidi started in 2000, 1999, 2000, was it an issue, or even then it was already no problem?
No, it was an issue, of course. At the beginning, it was a big issue about the kosher food. But we came to the IDF, the rabbis came to the IDF with a list of conditions to open the unit. One of the conditions is the food. Another one, that's today it's harder, it's to make a unit with no women. Gender
segregation, yes. Yeah, which the Bagatz, the Supreme Court, is very against.
Right. And until today, there is a problems in that area every time. Okay, so the army tried again and again. They're doing a lot. But sometimes we have problems. When Netzach Yehuda battalion needs to go to Gaza, he needs to take 5 bases. And in one of the bases, you have 2-3 girls that's served in that bases, and we have to take them out. So I'm saying to the people in Israel, this is the very small price to bring Chareidim to the IDF. And this is the price. You want Chareidim in the IDF. We have our values. I can be a fighter. I just came from Gaza. I can be a very good fighter, an officer, even though that I'm not serving with girls. It's okay.
So 1999, 2000, the program starts. How many Chareidim came?
We started with 30. All of the 30 came from the yeshivot that rabbis was the Rashi Yeshivot and Mashgichim, those rabbis. And after 30, we saw that I think in 2 years we had a company that's more than 90, and then 100 and 1,000. Today it's 1,200 every year. It's not enough. It's only 10% from every shnaton Charedi. If you're going to take age 18, you have 13,000.
Those that become eligible.
Yeah, you have 13,000 every year. 13,000 a year. Yeah, so it's then 10%, 9%, 9.5%. That's the numbers today. And I'm telling you, because of the war, it's going to change.
So I want to get to that. I want to first understand structurally.
Yep.
So Nachal Chareidi, Netzach Yehuda, that's the same thing? That's different things?
Yeah. The old name was Nachal Chareidi. Even the old, what's happened, as I said, in the history in Israel. And the new name was Nachal Chareidi at the beginning because it's based on a Nachal Brigade and Chareidi.
And not because Nachal is infantry.
Yeah,
Nachal it's a part of Nachal.
Yeah. And Brigade and Netzach Yehuda was Nachal Chareidi was under Nachal Brigade, okay, with the same Barrett and everything. That's at the beginning. After 6 years, Nachal Chareidi became a battalion, and then the army said that we need to transfer the brigade because they opened a new brigade. It's called Kfir Brigade. So Nachal Chareidi became Netzach Yehuda, the same unit, the same name.
And what is Kfir? Kfir is also Chareidim?
Kfir is brigade. In Kfir, you have 5 battalions. 1 battalion is Chareidim, but another 4, it's regular unit.
Got it. And do they interact with each other?
No. In the training base, but it's there is a big fence between to the other companies. Anyway, there is no girls in that base anyway.
So since then, it's been called Netzach Yehuda, and that's the name of the organization of the NGO also.
Right. We opened the NGO at the same time, and we called it Netzach Yehuda. But after that, the Army opened another trucks with us. And when we opened the new trucks in the Air Force and in other places, we called the trucks Netzach trucks. That's why we are today Netzach NGO.
So it's not just Netzach Yehuda, it's Netzach Yehuda, but also Netzach other. Netzach Air Force.
Netzach trucks. Under Netzach trucks, you have Netzach Yehuda battalion. You have Tomer Givati company in parachute, Chet Sanchanim, another company in Air Force, and a lot of not combat units.
I was going to ask you if they're all combat or if you're doing also Modi'in, intelligence, and other kinds of...
We have intelligence, and we have in the Air Force, in every base, you have groups of Haredi soldiers. Even in the best units in the Air Force, we have hundreds of soldiers everywhere.
And what year did you get involved?
So after I finished my Army service, I said to myself that there is a problem with the lone soldiers. So when I served, around 60 or 70% of the soldiers was lone soldiers from Israel, not from America.
Meaning because their parents disowned them.
Yep, because of the different ideology.
Stigma.
Yeah, it's not only stigma, it's different ideology between Ashkofe, between the soldier to the parents. The parents said, you go to the IDF, you will come here with uniform. We cannot, it's gonna hurt the Shidduchim. By the way, I have a twin, and she hurt when she was in Shidduchim, yeah. She said to me that a couple of Shadchanim said to her that's because of that's her twin in the IDF, some of the Shidduchim was disappear.
Wow.
Yep. So the family said, sometimes we can understand that if a father said, I don't want you to influence your brothers, you have to come X, Y, Z. So the soldier said, I don't want to come like this. I want to come with my uniform. That's me. So he's a lone soldier. And sometimes the family are sitting Shiva on them. But this is today the extreme families. And as I said, at the beginning it was 70%. Today it's 18%. And we are going down. Baruch Hashem.
So what year was it that you got involved?
So I finished my Army service, and the Amuta, the NGO, said to me, let's open a lone soldiers' homes for Charedim, because I don't know why, but 10 years, no one did it. 15 years, no one did it. So we opened the new, the lone soldiers' homes. It's called Dirot Netzach homes. We have today more than close to 200 soldiers that lives in our homes all over Israel, from the north until everywhere in the south, Beersheba, and in Jerusalem, 10 houses. And a lone soldiers living in our homes. And I did it at the beginning. And after 5 years, I became the CEO of the organization.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Now, I want to ask you some pointed questions about Netzach Yehuda, because people speak about it a lot, in the broader world, and people talking about Chareidim and the IDF. One of the claims that's made about Netzach Yehuda is that really it's not truly Chareidi people. And I'm sure you hear this all the time, that it's maybe Datilumi Chazak, maybe it's people that are off the derechs, as we use that colloquialism. Maybe it's people, struggling in different ways. They want a certain kind of environment or a certain kind of atmosphere, but this is not your average Bachor Yeshiva from Ponovich, from Chevron, et cetera, and it's a different kind of person. It's a wonderful thing, but it's not really addressing the main issue, which is the thousands of people in the regular yeshivas, like where your family is learning, where your brothers and your brothers-in-law were learning, growing up in Grodna, Kol Torah, et cetera, et cetera. That's not the boys that are going. How do you understand? What is the actual demographic composition? How does it actually break down?
I'll tell you the reality. Netzach Yehuda, the concept that the rabbis built at the beginning, it's that there is 30% of Dati Leumi and 70% from Haredi background. Okay? Why we are saying background? Not because of that Netzach Yehuda open for people that are not religious anymore. No. It's because we want to see that all of the people that come from Haredi background, they have the option of a religious place to serve. When I came to Netzach Yehuda, and everyone that's left the Haredi society, okay, I didn't left, but for the Haredi society, when I went to the IDF, there is no option to call me part of the community. Even today, let's be realistic. So when I did it, I wasn't care about the color of my yarmulke. So at the beginning, I changed the colors to a green yarmulke, and then people can say that I'm Dati Leumi, but it's a joke. All of the soldiers, there is a major general in the IDF that's the chief of staff, gave him the mission to check Netzach Yehuda, and he checked it, and he have a report. And Netzach Yehuda, it's 70% Charedi, 30% Dati Leumi. People can come and take pictures of the Dati Leumi and say, there is no Charedim in Netzach Yehuda. Or to take sometimes pictures of people like me that I change the colors. And it's not Charedim, but it's a joke. Most of the soldiers, 70% are Charedim, like me, like my friends. 30% Dati Leumi. Why we did it? Because we believe that the values that Dati Leumi have for the army, we need it for the Charedim.
So you did this bedafka.
Of course.
To have the influence.
Of course, and I will tell you that in the other companies, in Givati and Tzanchanim, we didn't do it. And they said to us a couple of times, and we changed it a little bit, to bring the 30% of the Dati Leumi. They said we need it because the Charedim, we don't have any value that's related to army service. Nothing. So we come in empty, we come in full in the Torah values, but empty with army values. And
nationalism, civic connection.
Yeah, the shlichus in the IDF. There is no Charedi, maybe a little bit, that thinks that there is shlichut in the IDF more than anything else. Even that there is shlichut at all. Okay, so when I'm coming to the IDF with no values that's related to the IDF service, it's too complicated to be a fighter. Because it's hard, it's not easy. So we need it. So that's why we mixed it. We need the concept of 30% and 70%. And this is the reality until today.
What's different about a soldier in Netzach Yehuda?
And when I said to you the numbers,
yeah,
it's only the numbers of the Charedim. Okay, I'm not saying the numbers of the Dati Leumi because we are not counted. So I said 3,000 soldiers, active soldiers in the IDF. It's from Charedi homes.
So what's different about the Chareidi battalion or the Netzach Yehuda in terms of how their service looks, the day-to-day? Is it there's more time for davening, more time for learning, more shiurim? You said, of course, already that there's no women, so that it's gender segregated. But other than the gender distinction, like what actually is different about the service? So
first, we are speaking about the spirit, the ruach in Netzach Yehuda. All of the time you can see rabbis that comes and give shiurim. You can see all of the environment is environment that's, we call it V'haya machanecha kadosh. It's a pasuk in the Torah. V'haya machanecha kadosh. Second, there is no option that you are not getting the time to pray. You have time to pray every day 3 times. And you have time to learn. Every day you have 1 hour in the day that you can learn Torah. So if you go into a regular unit, so sometimes the commander can say to you that we don't have time to mincha, we are in a training process. And you can understand that we are training to a war. No, in Netzach Yehuda, you are not understanding it, because if you're going to look at Netzach Yehuda only as a unit that's prepare you to be a fighter, it's not true. It's much, much more than that. That's why I say to you that all of the Haredi tracks in the IDF, it's something that influenced the Israeli society much more than any on every other unit. That's why in Netzach Yehuda it's so important to understand that it's not only training to a war. It's the first mission is to be a fighter. It's to be a good fighter. But at the same level, you have to understand that this is a mission of Israel, of the Jewish nation, to bring Charedim, to give them the option to do Safra v'Seifa. That's why we're giving them everything we can give. Not only the time, even the environment, and even everything. Shabbat is looked different than every other place.
One of the criticisms that...
And by the way, it's not perfect. I'm not hiding something. It's not perfect. We have a lot of work to do inside the IDF to do think much better, to build the trust, to make every promise that the army gave to the Haredi society better and better. It's not perfect, but it's close to perfect to everyone that came from the Haredi society, and he's not Ponovitcher now that's learning Torah all the day, that he can be a Haredi and can serve in the IDF.
One of the concerns that people have about sending Charedim to the IDF is not so much that their immediate commander will make them not daven mincha or will give them, treif. Okay? It's that at the end of the day, you're in an army. An army is about command structure and hierarchy. And even if your commander is Chareidi, but his commander may not be Chareidi, and their commander up, eventually, you're not dealing with a Chareidi person somewhere along the line. And so at some point, you are meshubed, as you would say in the from parlance, you would say you are right. You are submitted, right, to a authority that is not a Torah-based authority. And this is a great concern that people have in the Chareidi community because it's not all the way through Chareidim or even religious people at all. How do you deal with that? At the end of the day, this is the reality.
The army is a country. It's the biggest organization in Israel. I remember that when I started my army service, my brother or maybe someone from my family said to me, from today, the God of you, the Hashem, it's the commander. I said, you crazy. I listening to the halacha. I'm trying to be 100%, no 100%. I'm listening to the Gdolei Dor. There is nothing that's connected between what the commander said to the halacha. The commander only given me the option to be the best soldier and to fight. Our mission is to see that the commanders religious, the company commanders and the battalion commander are religious. Because if you're going to look on the chief of staff and you're going to say to me that he is not religious and let's say, so I will tell all of the Haredi society to leave Israel because the government are not religious. It's the same. This is country, the biggest organization. It's not that if the government influenced the Haredi society, the chief of staff influenced the last soldier in the IDF. It's not true. The guy that's give the education is the commander. And if the commander is religious and he knows what's important and what's not, and we're giving them, by the way, every group of commanders that started the new circle, we're giving them a preparation in Netzach organization. They come into us. We're giving them all of the Haredi values, all of the important things, and they understand it, and they following it all over the track. So people said to me, why you are in the IDF? You cannot kill the Hamas people because the Yehutz Mishpati said that you cannot shoot. I'm saying that I'm looking all the time until me. If I'm giving my soldier, I'm deputy battalion commander, I was in Judah and Samaria and in Gaza, in Khan Yunis. I just came from Khan Yunis 3 days ago. So when I'm giving the orders to my soldiers, I'm 100% behind my orders. I cannot look all the time up and say, because of you, I'm not in the IDF, I'll leave the IDF. No, we have Hamas on the fence. We need to fight them. So my authority, it's under me. So in Netzach Yehuda, our authority, it's all of the Haredi tracks. And we have policy. We're following the policy. We have the option to give them everything that's related to the values of the Haredi society. I think it's the maximum we can do. And it's, the end of the day, it's the best itnadvut and shlichut that people can do in Israel. To sacrifice himself for the people in Israel, for our families.
What do you see has changed or is changing because of October 7th? What's different now since the months of that terrible day?
I will be open. Before the 7th of October, I thought that maybe the IDF don't need even me. I'm deputy battalion commander. They don't need me. They took our trainings from a training every year to a training every 3 years in my reserve unit. And we are in the first line. Because the army thought that the next war will be intelligence unit and air force.
Concepcia.
Yeah, conception. But right after the 7th of October, we all understand that the army needs a lot of infantry units, like my unit, a lot of tanks, a lot of people that will serve on the tanks, and in artillery units, and all of the
boots on the ground.
Yeah, the boots on the ground, all of the Yechidot HaSadeh, the units that fight.
Field units, yeah.
Field units. And because of that, we understood that we must have much more people in the IDF, and the option to make the IDF bigger, it's only from not only, but most of the main option is from the Haredi society. That's for sure. I'm telling you, my unit, we are coming back in 2 months. And we are after 130, 35
people are
days.
exhausted and
It's crazy. People got divorced. It's a lot of problems that we got because of
trauma
the war.
and
Trauma and finance problems.
financial,
Yeah. So we got a lot of problems, and in 2 months, in the middle of the option to try to build it again, we have to come back to the unit, come back to fight. So if we will have another 30,000 people from 1.3 million, and that 30,000 that are not learning Torah, we have it. We all understand that we have it. Let's be AMS people. That's going to change everything. And the Israeli society will say, we don't want Charedim anymore. It's not simple to bring Charedim to the IDF.
because of the extra needs, because of the gender issues and the food, all these things, or what's the reason they find it difficult?
It's not the extra need. If you're gonna put it in the position of the problem of the cultural, you want to change the IDF to do it Haredi IDF. Let's go to the Israeli society. Let's ask everyone. No one wants to see it. No one wants to, even the Zionist people, the Dati Leumi, the religious Zionist people, the Israeli society is afraid from it. Let's say the truth. This is the truth. They don't want to see the religious people in the top of the IDF. So even Charedim, if all of the Charedim will come to the IDF, it's going to be a problem to the Israeli society. And I don't think they want it. But another 30,000, it's okay and it's realistic and it's not going to, we can build brigade, we can build 2 brigades. It will be okay to the Israeli society and okay to the Haredi society, and it's best solution. You have to understand, all of the soldiers, the Haredi soldiers, are volunteer not only in the IDF. They will be after the IDF part of the good economy. Good economy. Because if you take in Haredim directly to the economy, it's not working. If you're going to take them with the army skills, it's totally different. We did a survey on the veterans, and we saw that it's totally different. So this is the way to change the security economy and the unity of Israel.
Do you feel like within the Haredi community things are changing? Because I hear 2 different stories. One story is that look at the Haredim. They're doing Zakah, Hatzalah. They're doing all the volunteering, chesed, cooking, helping, saying Tehillim, davening, learning, all of these different things. And they feel more and more a part of the society. I hear another story. The Chareidim are going on with their life regular. They're not worried about a knock on the door. There's no problem. Everything's fine. Chasanas and everything's just regular. And they're not a part of it. Which is the true story that you see? Are things changing from within, or it's not really changing?
So, as we know, the Haredim, it's not a one black group. There is like 50 sectors. And it's different. I think that it's depend on the sector. There is sectors that was very, very involved because of the war in every aspect. They wanted to be in the IDF. I'm telling you, I'm getting calls, weird calls, from people in the mainstream. Like yesterday, one of the people that's famous in the Haredi society, he said to me, I want to come. I'm ready to come. I don't know how to do it because in my community, I'm going to get killed. Not killed, but the people will drop me out. And he's the Gabbai of the Bet Knesset, and he's one of, and he's not young, by the way. We have the option to do the service.
Shlav Bet, yeah.
Shlav Bet, between 25 till 60 years old. So he wanted to come, and he asked me how to do it, and he said, I'm coming, that's for sure. And he said, because of the war. He even said, by the way, that he checked in the books of the Chazon Ish, and he saw that the Chazon Ish said that in a wartime, all of the people, no one can still learn Torah, all of the people needs to go to the IDF. Yeah, so as a person that's believe in the Torah values, I believe that people needs to stay in the yeshivot, even though that there is a hard war, and it's going to be with the North, it's going to be crazy. I believe in the Torah. I think that we need to do it together. But I can tell you that if you're going to look at the Haredi society, there is a different perspective. People understand the need of the IDF, not like before. They understand that they need to support the soldiers. To do the step between to be in the Haredi society, to go to the IDF, it's harder. So even though that we have the support, we have to work hard to see that everyone that's are not really in the yeshiva, not in the yeshiva and are not doing nothing, needs to come to...
How can that happen? What can be done to promote that?
We started build not schools, but yeshivot esder and mechinot, pre-army programs. We have three yeshivot esder and 2 mechinot.
This is with Rabbi Gross, Rabbi Karmi?
Rabbi Gross.
You're involved. We interviewed him as well.
Wow, amazing. He's, by the way, one of the biggest rabbis for me. I really love him, and he's amazing. So Rabbi Karmi Gross, he built the first yeshiva, first Esder yeshiva, amazing process program. And his students after the yeshiva goes to the IDF, to intelligence units, and they become a Charedi mensch with good parnasa and everything. So we built another 2, except his yeshiva that it's under Netzach today. And we have another 2 mechinot, so it's 5 places.
Kdam Tzvai.
Yeah, Kdam Tzvai, that gives the option to serve to prepare before the IDF in every aspect. And we're going to build more, and we're going to put another students, more and more students in that options. And it's not only that. We have another options. I can give you the list, but there is options. The government didn't do anything until today, anything. There is any plan from the beginning of Israel. No plan, one plan to bring Charedim to the IDF. Like the plan that they did with 1.7 billion shekel to bring Charedim to the academic. With 0% of success, by the way, but let's put it in the side. They did a plan of 5 years and another 5 years. So the government said to the Israeli society, we are working on Gius Charedim. It's not true.
Well, right now the only plan is threats of sanctions on the yeshiva.
It's not
stipends.
a plan. To put sanctions, it's a law. It's not a plan. It's a law. They changed the law. By the way, we was 20%. In 2014. And after the law, we goes down to 10%. The law was terrible for us. Sanction, it's not the way. But it's not a plan. If with not sanction, but with the law, they will put a plan, it's going to change. But I promise you, with the plan, without the plan, we will change it. We will double the people, and we are working hard now. We have new programs in all of the area of Chareidios from 16 years old, and it's going to change.
What are the Rabbonim saying today to you? Is it a different discourse? Is it a different conversation today? And we're here in the middle of March of 2024, 5 months after October 7th, 2023. The Rabbonim that you're speaking to, are more Rabbonim coming out and supporting? Are more of them letting their name be used publicly? What's the reaction from the higher echelons of Haredi society when it comes to the rabbinic structures?
So because of the issue that our activity comes with the rabbis, we are not doing anything without the bracha of rabbis, we got a lot of support. Okay, so I don't know if you heard about, we have a memorial event every year in Yom HaZikaron, okay? A big Haredi ceremony to remember the soldiers that died. 5 years ago, we started with a lot of people, 1,000 Haredi people, yeah, but with no leader, no politician leader and no rabbis. After 1 year, we saw 2 rabbis. After 2 years and 3 years, Aryeh Deri, today he is the biggest leader in the Haredi politician. He has the biggest party. This is the reality. And all of his ministers, they came to the event. They come into our event. That means that they support Netzach Yehuda because they understand we are not taking the Bachurei Yeshivot. They can support us. So, and in the rabbis' leaders, this year, that year in the event, you can see Rabbi David Yosef, Rabbi Amar, Rabbi Schlesinger, a lot of rabbis. So we changed that area. And after the beginning of the war, we got videos from Rabbi Zilberstein and another mainstream rabbis, not all of them, but another mainstream rabbis that said we are behind the work of Netzach organization because they understood we're giving a very good solution to the Haredi youth.
If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about either the army or Haredi society, what would you change?
My dream is that the Israeli society will believe really believe in the Torah values, and the Haredi society will really believe in the army service. That will bring the peace. But I think that the Haredi community needs to support the soldiers that's sacrificed every day for them. And the Israeli society needs to not believe in the Torah values, even understand why it's so important to keep the Judaism values. The reality is that 2,000 years of Judaism values, Judaism cultural, came only from the Orthodox people. The unreligious people are not here. That's the reality. And if we want to really keep the cultural, we must keep the Lomdei Torah. It's basic. But at the same time, there is no way that someone that goes to Gaza for you, you are not giving them the biggest hug you can give. So this is the two sides. We must be on that bridge. That's all.
Rabbi Yosi Levi, the CEO of Netzach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.